As you mentioned, I was avidly involved in NASA-sponsored university research projects at the University of Nebraska that really allowed me to foster relationships with professors who had contacts in the industry. I was so invested in getting integrated into the space and satellite world that when graduation came around, I knew that I had to expand my reach outside of Nebraska because my options would be pretty limited there if I really wanted to get anchored into that sector. I was really fortunate that there were some faculty from my department that visited Maxar, that was then SSL, came back to me after their tour and discussions with folks like Rob Lyon and Mahantaj Hiremath, and said, we've got this really great opportunity for you. You need to look into this. If this is what you want to do, this seems like your type of place. And from there, I looked into it, interviewed, and before I knew it, I was on the plane to California and never looked back. For me, it was never really a question what industry I wanted to end up in. At a very, very young age, I would sneak out of my house at night to go watch meteor showers in my parents' yard. And so, growing up, I always knew that space is where I wanted to be, and I couldn't stop looking up. So when it came to going to school, getting an engineering degree, and what came afterwards, space was where I always wanted to be. It's funny you ask that because I often think about how I got here myself. But when I think about my experience to date, I know that I've been extremely fortunate to have mentors that have always done what they can to guide me towards opportunity. For me, things really started to pivot in my career when I moved into a systems engineering position instead of a hardware-focused role. In the systems world, I was and really continue to be pushed to work with groups and disciplines that I have little or no background in. So that environment has forced me to absolutely get out of my comfort zone, learn new things, ask a lot of questions. And as a result, I'm a better and more effective engineer. And it's presented me with growth opportunities that I really never knew were possible or existed. And so being in that uncomfortable environment and learning new things really goes a long way. This is a very tough question. Again, as I think about my experience, there are countless examples that I could come up with. One thing that really sticks out to me and seems to be recurring regardless of what project or role I'm working in is that I have to remind myself that I can still be an effective leader and teammate even when I'm not the technical expert in the room. In aerospace, maybe a little bit more than other industries, we thrive on experience and education. Those types of things pull a lot of weight just because we thrive on things like heritage and legacy and past lessons learned. Some of that background I know just takes time to accumulate, and I'm well on my way with getting those experiences under my belt. But it can be really intimidating as a young person, and especially a young person in a leadership position when you don't necessarily have those credentials to lean on. I've been able to learn even in those scenarios that the position can be daunting, but there's also a really unique and maybe ample opportunity to ask the dumb questions. And that has given me, I think, a lot of the success that I've had to date. Fostering that type of environment where curiosity is encouraged allows for a more collaborative, teamwork type backbone. And in that environment, people truly get to understand the problem and not just the technical experts in the room. And then when the entire team really understands and can wrap their minds around the problem that you're trying to solve, you get more elegant and thoughtful results. I think the one thing that I would go back to is just to ask more questions. Sometimes it's difficult to put yourself out there and think, I should know the answer to this. I don't, but just going ahead, taking the leap, asking the question, and really gaining, whether it's fundamental understanding or elevated understanding, never hurts anyone. All of our work at Maxar is inspired by our company's purpose, which is for a better world. And I fully believe that we live and breathe that purpose day in and day out. Maxar combines Earth intelligence and space infrastructure capabilities to help our customers monitor, understand, and connect with our changing planet. We're able to explore and advance the use of space to uplift our collective experience in that way. This is such a fun question to think about, and I definitely think that I'm a little biased here, but the drive of the Artemis program and the effort being made to return to the moon is so inspiring. The prospect that we have to use Lunar Gateway to explore the rest of the solar system is just incredibly exciting. When I think about history and I watch these movies and read books about the Mercury and Apollo programs and the way that they shaped the industry and really changed the course of human history, it makes me feel really hopeful that we could be a part of that next chapter and just in awe of all the possibilities that can come.